Admiral Kethvar stared at the strange metal ships floating in the darkness of space. His massive war fleet surrounded the small human vessels like hungry sharks circling tiny fish. The alien commander's yellow eyes glowed with disgust as he watched the primitive crafts through his crystal viewing screen. "What are these ugly things?" he growled to his officers. The human ships looked like flying scrap metal compared to his beautiful Zephyrian warships. His vessels gleamed with smooth curves and glowing energy shields, while the human ships were just rough metal boxes with crude engines attached. Kethvar had conquered 47 different alien races in his long military career. None had ever taken more than a few weeks to defeat. These humans would be even easier than the others, he thought with a cold smile. Far away on the human exploration ship called New Sol, Commander Jiho was getting worried. For 3 whole days, his team had been trying to talk to the alien fleet. They sent friendship messages, mathematical formulas, even simple pictures showing peaceful intentions. But the aliens just ignored them completely. Mina, a young woman with short black hair, looked up from her navigation computer. "Sir, they're still not answering our calls. Their ships are moving into attack positions around us." Jiho had fought in wars before. He knew what hostile behavior looked like. These aliens were preparing for battle, not conversation. "Keep sending peace messages, Mina. Maybe they just need more time to understand us." But understanding was not what Admiral Kethvar had in mind. The Zephyrian Empire had one simple rule for dealing with other species: surrender immediately or die. This approach had worked perfectly for 300 years. Every alien race they met either gave up without fighting or got completely destroyed. "Send them our usual warning message," Kethvar ordered his communications officer. "Tell these primitive creatures to surrender now or we will burn their entire species to ash." The message that reached human space was short and terrifying. "Weak species of planet Earth, your expansion into space ends today. Bow down to Zephyrian rule or watch all your worlds die in flames. You have 7 days to surrender everything to us." On Earth, Defense Minister Hyun was drinking her morning coffee when the alien message arrived. As she read the threatening words on her computer screen, her hands began to shake. But she was not shaking from fear. She was shaking from pure anger. "These aliens have made a terrible mistake," she whispered to her assistant Juno. "They think we're weak because our technology looks simple. They have no idea what humans are really like when someone threatens our families." Juno looked confused. "Minister, maybe we should try to negotiate with them? Surely they don't really want to fight us." Hyun's eyes turned ice cold. "They already chose to fight, Juno. They declared war on us first. Now they're going to learn something very important about human beings. We don't give up. We don't surrender. And we never, ever forget when someone hurts our people." She immediately sent emergency messages to every human colony, space station, and settlement in known space. Within hours, the entire human species knew they were at war with aliens who wanted to enslave them all. Meanwhile, the Zephyrian military leaders were laughing as they studied reports about human weapons and defenses. The humans had no energy shields protecting their ships. They had no plasma cannons or antimatter bombs. Their fastest spaceships were slower than Zephyrian cargo vessels. "This will be our easiest victory ever," Admiral Kethvar announced to his war council. "Send the 3rd and 5th fleets to attack their colonies. These humans will surrender before we even reach their home planet." But Commander Jiho wasn't ready to give up yet. Even though he could see the alien weapons charging up with deadly energy, he tried one last time to make peace. "Unknown alien vessels," he broadcast on all communication channels, "we come in peace. We don't want to fight you. There's no reason for our peoples to be enemies." The answer came in the form of a massive plasma blast that barely missed his ship. The energy beam was so powerful it would have vaporized the New Sol instantly if the alien gunner's aim had been just a little bit better. Jiho realized that talking was over. These aliens wanted war, and they were about to get more war than they had ever bargained for. "All human ships," he commanded over the radio, "retreat to safe positions immediately. Send this message back to Earth. Tell everyone that humanity is now at war." As the small human fleet fled from the overwhelming alien force, Admiral Kethvar watched them go with satisfaction. Soon, he thought, this entire region of space would belong to the Zephyrian Empire. The humans would learn to obey their new masters, or they would all die trying to resist. But Admiral Kethvar had made one critical error in his calculations. He assumed that humans were just like all the other species his empire had conquered before, civilized people who would choose slavery over death. He had no idea that humans had spent millions of years fighting for survival on one of the most dangerous planets in the galaxy. He didn't know that human history was written in blood, war, and the stubborn refusal to quit fighting even when victory seemed impossible. The Zephyrian Empire was about to discover that they had declared war on the wrong species entirely. The alien warships appeared in the sky above New Busan mining colony like dark storm clouds. Colony Administrator Sung watched through his office window as the massive Zephyrian vessels blocked out the sun. He had exactly 6 hours before the aliens would land and try to take over his home. Most leaders would have immediately surrendered. New Busan had no soldiers, no military weapons, and no way to fight against such advanced alien technology. The 3,000 people living in the colony were just ordinary workers, miners, engineers, and their families who had come here to dig valuable metals from the asteroids. But Sung was not going to give up without a fight. He called every single person in the colony to meet in the main community hall. Mothers came carrying their babies. Old grandfathers hobbled in on walking sticks. Teenagers left their video games to listen. Even the youngest children sat quietly as Sung stood before them all. "The aliens want to take our world away from us," he said in a voice that everyone could hear. "This is our home. Our children were born in these buildings. Our grandparents are buried in this ground. Are we going to let strangers just walk in and steal everything we love?" "No," shouted someone from the crowd. Soon everyone was shouting the same word. "No, no, no." A woman named Nari stood up. She was one of the smartest engineers in the colony. "I can make the fusion power reactors overload in a controlled way. We can use them like giant bombs to stop the aliens from landing their ships safely." An older man called Do-hyun raised his hand. "The machines we use to break apart asteroids can be turned into weapons. We can shoot rocks at their ships like cannonballs. The mining robots can be programmed to attack instead of digging," added a teenager who was good with computers. "We might not have laser guns, but we know how to make things blow up." What happened next amazed everyone, including the Zephyrian soldiers who landed expecting an easy victory. The humans turned their peaceful mining colony into a fortress of improvised weapons and clever traps. Children who were barely old enough to drive cars learned how to operate heavy mining equipment that could crush alien vehicles. Grandmothers taught teenagers how to make explosives from ordinary household chemicals. The asteroid processing machines began firing chunks of rock at alien aircraft with deadly accuracy. The Zephyrians had never seen anything like it. Their military training taught them that civilian populations would always surrender rather than fight professional soldiers. But these humans seemed to prefer dying in battle over living as slaves. For 6 days and nights, the battle raged through the streets and buildings of New Busan. The aliens had better armor, better weapons, and better technology. But the humans knew every tunnel, every hiding place, and every secret passage in their own colony. Commander Vexera of the Zephyrian ground forces had conquered dozens of worlds before. He had never encountered anything as frustrating as fighting these humans. Every time his soldiers captured a building, they would find it empty except for booby traps. Every time they thought they had won, more humans would appear from underground tunnels to attack from behind. "These creatures fight like they're insane," he reported to Admiral Kethvar over the radio. "They use children as soldiers. They destroy their own buildings rather than let us capture them intact. They refuse to surrender even when we completely surround them." On the 7th day, the Zephyrian forces finally broke through the last human defenses and reached the center of the colony. But when they arrived at the main settlement, they found all the buildings empty. The humans had vanished like ghosts. The only thing left behind was a message painted in large red letters on the side of the administration building: "We'll be back." This same impossible situation was happening on 12 other human colonies that the Zephyrians had attacked. Admiral Kethvar received one frustrating report after another from his ground commanders. "The humans don't fight like any species we've encountered before," Commander Vexera explained during a video conference with the other invasion leaders. "They evacuate their people through underground tunnels we can't find. They sabotage their own equipment so we can't use it. They act like dying in battle is better than living under our rule." Meanwhile, on Earth, Defense Minister Hyun was meeting with her top military advisors. General Wu spread out holographic maps showing all the battle locations across human space. "The aliens have better technology than us," he admitted honestly. "But they're not very creative fighters. They do the same things over and over again. They fight like they've always won easy battles against weak enemies." "That's because they have always won easy battles," Hyun replied. "But humans are different. We've been fighting for survival our whole history. Every war we've ever fought was against enemies who seemed stronger than us." Dr. Samin, the head of the Technology Research Department, had been studying pieces of broken Zephyrian weapons that human fighters had captured. "Their equipment is very impressive," she reported, but it's designed to work perfectly or not at all. When something breaks, it stops working completely. Our human equipment might look ugly, but it keeps working even when it's damaged. What about their spaceships? Asked Admiral Hannah, who commanded the human navy. Same problem, Dr. Salmon answered. Beautiful, powerful, but fragile. Built by people who expect to win every fight quickly and easily. 6 months had passed since the war began, and Admiral Kethvar was starting to feel afraid. For 300 years, no enemy had ever fought the Zephyrian Empire for more than a few weeks before surrendering. But these humans just kept fighting, and somehow they were getting stronger instead of weaker. The worst part was how fast they learned. Dr. Salmon and her team of human scientists had taken broken pieces of Zephyrian weapons and figured out how they worked. But they didn't just copy the alien technology, they made it better in ways that scared the Zephyrians. Chief Engineer Zor-ADH was giving a very worried report to the Zephyrian High Command. The humans are using our own plasma energy systems to build weapons we never thought of, he said. They're making our technology do things that should be impossible. What do you mean impossible? Admiral Kethvar demanded. They're making weapons that are designed to explode when they get damaged, Zor-ADH explained. Our weapons are built to shut down safely when something goes wrong. But human weapons are built to take our ships with them when they break. On a research station floating around Mars, Dr. Salmon was working with Engineer Kyung to test their newest invention. They had taken Zephyrian plasma conduits and modified them to deliberately overload in a chain reaction. Look at this, Salmon said excitedly as she showed the test results to Defense Minister Hyun over a video call. When Zephyrian weapons get damaged, they automatically turn themselves off to prevent accidents. But we've programmed our weapons to explode and spread the damage to nearby enemy systems. Isn't that dangerous for our own people? Hyun asked. Very dangerous, Salmon admitted with a grin. But that's what makes it effective. The Zephyrians can't understand why anyone would build weapons that might hurt the people using them. This difference in thinking was changing the entire war. Zephyrian ships were beautiful, elegant, and designed to work perfectly under ideal conditions. Human ships looked like flying junk piles, but they kept working even when half their systems were destroyed. Commander Vexera saw this firsthand during a battle near the Tau Ceti star system. His forces had attacked a human destroyer and shot it so full of holes that it should have been completely dead in space. The human ship stopped fighting and drifted away like a piece of wreckage. But 3 hours later, that same human ship came back into the battle, somehow repaired and ready to fight again. Vexera stared in disbelief through his viewing screen. The human vessel looked terrible. Its hull was patched with pieces of metal that obviously came from cargo containers and civilian spacecraft. How is that ship still flying? He asked his intelligence officer in shock. Sir, the humans appear to have repaired their destroyer using spare parts from other damaged ships, the officer reported. They've welded shipping containers onto the hull to replace the armor plating we destroyed. That's impossible, Vexera said. Those repairs should never hold together under combat conditions. But the patched-up human ship was already firing its weapons again, and those weapons were working just fine despite being held together with what looked like space junk. This was happening everywhere the two species fought. Human crews would take their badly damaged ships and somehow get them working again using the most unlikely materials. They would rip parts out of their own life support systems to repair their weapons. They would use pieces from destroyed enemy ships to fix their own vessels. Engineer Kyung had developed a new philosophy that was spreading throughout the human military. If it's stupid but it works, then it's not stupid. The Zephyrians found this attitude completely baffling. Their military doctrine emphasized elegant solutions, efficient designs, and predictable outcomes. The idea of deliberately building unreliable systems that might explode at random seemed insane to them. But the human approach was winning battles. During one particularly intense fight, a human cruiser lost all of its main weapon systems. Instead of retreating, the human captain ordered his crew to load their missile tubes with spare fuel tanks and detonate them manually when they hit enemy ships. The improvised weapons worked so well that other human ships began copying the technique. They're fighting like barbarians, complained one Zephyrian commander during a strategy meeting. They have no respect for proper military procedures. Proper procedures don't matter if they win the battle, Admiral Kethvar replied grimly. The humans were also learning to use Zephyrian predictability against them. General Wu had studied months of combat reports and noticed that alien commanders always responded to certain situations in exactly the same way. They're like machines, he explained to his staff officers. They follow the same patterns every time. If we attack their supply convoys, they always send exactly 3 escort ships to investigate. If we retreat from a system, they always wait exactly 2 days before following us. Human commanders began setting traps based on these predictable responses. They would pretend to retreat, knowing that the Zephyrians would follow them into ambushes. They would attack supply convoys with small forces, knowing that the alien reinforcements would be exactly the right size to defeat with a hidden second wave of human ships. Dr. Saman's research teams were now producing hybrid weapons that combined the best features of both technologies. Zephyrian energy efficiency paired with human durability and unpredictability. The results were weapons that the Zephyrians couldn't understand or counter effectively. "We're not just fighting them anymore," Saman reported to Defense Minister Hyun. "We're outthinking them." Admiral Kethvar walked slowly into the Great Hall where the most powerful leaders of the Zephyrian Empire waited for his report. 1 year ago, he had promised them a quick and easy victory over the primitive humans. Now he had to tell them the most embarrassing news in their empire's 300-year history. "The humans have taken 17 of our worlds," he announced to the shocked assembly of alien leaders. Their yellow eyes widened in disbelief. No enemy had ever captured even one Zephyrian world before, let alone 17. "How is this possible?" demanded High Commander Thexral, the Empire's supreme military leader. "Our intelligence reports said these creatures were technologically inferior." Kethvar's voice was bitter with defeat. "They are using our own methods against us, but they changed our strategies in ways we never expected. Where we build one command center, they build 12. Where we create efficient supply routes, they create backup systems that keep working even when most of them are destroyed." The truth was even worse than he was telling them. The humans hadn't just copied Zephyrian colonization techniques, they had improved them using lessons learned from their own brutal history. On Earth, Defense Minister Hyun was coordinating the human war effort from what appeared to be a single command center. But in reality, her headquarters existed in 12 different locations at the same time. Every order she gave was transmitted instantly to 11 backup facilities scattered across human space. "The aliens are finally starting to adapt," she told General Wu as they watched tactical displays showing battles across dozens of star systems. "They're changing their attack patterns and trying new strategies. But they're still thinking like conquerors who have never lost a war. And we're thinking like survivors who have never had an easy victory," Wu replied. Every human war in history was fought against enemies who seemed impossible to defeat. This fundamental difference was becoming clear as human forces reached the heart of Zephyrian territory. Instead of attacking the alien homeworlds directly, Admiral Hanna's fleet was systematically destroying everything that kept Zephyrian civilization running. Captain Jiho, now commanding a battle group of modified human ships, received his orders during a briefing with Admiral Hanna. "We're not going to conquer their planets," she explained. "We're going to make their planets unable to support their way of life." "What do you mean?" asked Jiho. "The Zephyrians depend on complex technology for everything," Hanna said. "Their cities need constant power from fusion reactors. Their people need processed food from automated factories. Their ships need fuel from orbital refineries. Take away those systems and their civilization collapses." Jiho understood immediately. "We attack their infrastructure, not their armies." "Exactly. When their fleets move to defend their power plants, we attack their food production facilities. When they protect their factories, we destroy their fuel depots. We make them choose which parts of their civilization they want to save." The strategy was working better than anyone had hoped. Zephyrian colonies that had thrived for centuries were suddenly reporting critical shortages of everything from basic food to spaceship fuel. The aliens had built their empire assuming that their enemies would always fight fair battles between military forces. They never imagined that someone would target civilian infrastructure. Commander Vexera was trapped on a Zephyrian colony world that was slowly dying. The humans had destroyed the orbital power stations that provided energy to the planet's cities. Without electricity, the automated food production systems had shut down. The water purification plants had stopped working. Even the air recycling systems in the underground cities were failing. "Why don't they just attack us directly?" he asked his aide in frustration. "This slow strangulation is more cruel than honest warfare." But the humans weren't being cruel, they were being practical. Dr. Saman had calculated that destroying Zephyrian infrastructure was much more effective than destroying Zephyrian soldiers. A dead soldier could be replaced by recruiting another warrior. But a destroyed power plant left entire planets helpless. The psychological impact was even more devastating than the physical damage. For the first time in their recorded history, ordinary Zephyrian citizens were experiencing fear, hunger, and desperation. They had lived their entire lives believing that their empire was invincible and that their technology would always protect them. Engineer Kyung had developed new computer viruses that could infiltrate Zephyrian networks and cause their automated systems to gradually break down. The aliens didn't even realize they were under attack until their machines started failing all across their territories. It's beautiful in its simplicity, Kyung explained to his team of programmers. Their computers are more advanced than ours, but that just means they're more complicated. Complex systems have more ways to break. The viruses spread through Zephyrian networks like a plague, causing traffic control systems to malfunction, factory robots to produce defective goods, and military communications to become unreliable. The aliens' technological superiority was becoming their greatest weakness. General Wu coordinated resistance movements on occupied human worlds while simultaneously directing attacks deep inside Zephyrian space. The Empire's forces were being stretched thin trying to defend too many targets at once. They're learning what every human military leader knows, he told his staff officers. You can't be strong everywhere at the same time. Every soldier you use to guard a power plant is a soldier who can't fight on the front lines. The Zephyrian Empire was discovering that conquering weaker enemies had taught them nothing about fighting a truly dangerous opponent. They were losing a war they should have won easily, against an enemy they had completely underestimated. Admiral Kethvar realized with growing horror that his empire had made the worst possible mistake. They had declared war on the one species in the galaxy that specialized in impossible victories. Admiral Kethvar's clawed hands shook as he activated the communication device that would connect him directly to Earth. The proud Zephyrian military commander had never felt so defeated in his entire life. His mighty empire, which had conquered dozens of alien species over 3 centuries, had been completely destroyed by humans who weren't supposed to be a real threat. The holographic screen flickered to life, showing Defense Minister Hyun sitting in what appeared to be a simple office on Earth. Behind her stood Admiral Hanna and General Wu, the human military leaders who had masterminded his empire's downfall. Kethvar expected to see triumphant smiles on their faces, but instead they looked worried and serious. Admiral Kethvar, Hyun said in a calm voice, we need to talk about more than just your surrender. When your ships first attacked our exploration vessels 18 months ago, we were actually trying to warn you about something terrible that's coming toward our part of the galaxy. Kethvar's yellow eyes widened in confusion. Warn us? But you were the ones invading our territory. Your ships were in Zephyrian space without permission. We were running away, Admiral Hanna explained patiently. Our deep space observation stations detected something very dangerous moving toward this region of the galaxy. We were trying to evacuate our outer colonies when your forces intercepted us. Running away from what? Kethvar demanded. Dr. Salmon stepped into view and activated a holographic display that showed star charts and scientific data. The information she revealed made Kethvar's alien features turn pale with fear. Our telescopes detected gravitational disturbances that indicate the presence of enormous spacecraft, she explained. These ships are much larger than anything your empire or our species has ever built. We estimate there are thousands of them, all moving together in a coordinated formation toward this arm of the galaxy. The holographic display showed massive dark shapes moving between the stars like a swarm of cosmic locusts. Each individual ship was bigger than an entire Zephyrian space station. That's impossible, Kethvar whispered. Our sensors would have detected such a large fleet. Your sensors are designed to find threats that you understand, General Wu said grimly. These entities use technology that neither of our species has encountered before. We call them the Devourers because of what they do to every star system they visit. Dr. Salmon changed the holographic display to show the path of destruction the mysterious fleet had left behind. Entire solar systems that had once contained planets, moons and asteroid belts were now completely empty except for their central stars. They don't just conquer worlds, she continued. They consume everything. Planets, asteroids, space stations, even the gases in planetary atmospheres. They strip entire star systems down to nothing but bare rock and empty space. Kethvar felt a chill of terror run through his body. How long do we have before they arrive? Based on their current speed and trajectory, approximately 2 years, Admiral Hanna replied. That's why we were trying to establish peaceful contact with your empire. Every intelligent species in this region needs to work together if we're going to have any chance of survival. But our war, Kethvar started to say, wasn't supposed to happen, Hyun interrupted. We were hoping to form an alliance with the Zephyrian Empire to prepare defenses against the Devourers. Instead, your forces attacked us and we had to spend a year and a half fighting each other while the real threat got closer. The irony of the situation hit Kethvar like a physical blow. His empire had declared war on the one species that was trying to save them from extinction. The humans had been attempting to warn the Zephyrians about an enemy that would destroy both civilizations unless they worked together. "What do these devourers want?" he asked weakly. "As far as we can tell, they don't negotiate, they don't take prisoners, and they don't show mercy," Captain Jiho said, joining the conversation. "They appear to view all organic life as nothing more than raw materials to be harvested. Just like your empire viewed us when you first attacked," General Wu added quietly. The comparison was uncomfortably accurate. The Zephyrians had dismissed humanity as primitive creatures to be enslaved or destroyed. Now they were facing an enemy that viewed both species as equally insignificant. "What can we do against such powerful enemies?" Kethvar asked desperately. "The same thing humans have always done when facing impossible odds," Hyun replied. "We adapt, we innovate, and we refuse to give up. But we can't do it alone. We need every ship, every weapon, and every intelligent mind that both of our species can provide." Dr. Salmon displayed tactical projections showing combined human and Zephyrian fleets working together. "The technologies we've developed fighting each other will be essential against the Devourers. Your advanced energy weapons combined with our redundant engineering and adaptive tactics might give us a chance." "And if we refuse to help?" Kethvar asked, though he already knew the answer. "Then in 2 years there won't be a Zephyrian empire left to make that choice," Admiral Hanna stated matter-of-factly. "The Devourers don't distinguish between humans and Zephyrians. To them we're all just organic matter to be processed." Kethvar realized that his species' survival now depended on the very enemies they had tried to destroy. The humans, who had every reason to hate the Zephyrians, were offering them a chance at redemption and mutual survival. "What do you need from us?" he asked quietly. "Everything," Hyun replied simply. "Every ship, every soldier, every scientist. We're going to build the largest military force this galaxy has ever seen, and we're going to teach the Devourers that this part of space is protected by species that don't know how to surrender."